you're gonna have people that watch this, and then like 5 months later, when the leader does something, they're gonna comment like, "You guys don't know shit." All
You
right,
guys
bro.
know nothing.
I think the worst part about that is usually there's like a lot of times where just like we will accurately predict how these leaders are going to play out, but just because we're in the first month of the set is the meta's been unexplored. People are still learning the matchups. People are still trying to figure out what's worth what. But then after the dust is settled, the leaders fall off just like we predicted they would. Literally the first 2 weeks, because Blackbeard was like one of the top 3 performing leaders. We were like, what was that, Chris? I thought you said Blackbeard wasn't going to be one of the best leaders in the set. And then after a month has passed, Blackbeard's not even the top 7 anymore. It's like, okay, well, what about now? You had so much energy for me when Blackbeard was doing it, but now that he's disappeared again, there's nowhere to be found. What is good, homies? This is Chris from the Small Hat Crew, joined today by Small Hat Brandon. It's been a minute, Small Hat Brandon.
Hey, what up, guys? Also joined by Small Hat Manny.
Hey there, everybody. But we can never forget Small Hat Nick.
Hello. I forget about myself sometimes. I'm gonna keep it about 50.
Where have you been, Brandon? What's going on?
Not gonna lie, it's my weird work schedule.
Since you haven't been out, they've released a bunch of cards have come out. But what questionable power levels that make you wonder, like, what is Bandai thinking? Like, have you seen that new Mind Goblin?
I've kept up to date with the cards. I know what the new cards are. There's
He's talking about
There's
magic.
no mind.
He's talking about magic.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen the new Mind Goblin.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I tried to help you, Chris. I tried.
God damn it. Okay. Well, all right. We'll go ahead and so we have I think 4 new leaders to review today. 4 leaders have been revealed. We'll go ahead and we just jump right into it. Actually, just jump right into it. We're gonna start with Smoker, red, green, 4 life, 5,000 power, Punk Hazard, navy. Your opponent's turn, your characters with the Navy or Punk Hazard trait gain 1,000 power. Main and once per turn. If you have a character with 7,000 power or more, set to Dawn as active. What are your thoughts on this, boys?
I like it. It's honestly going to depend on the sport because what Green Navy exists besides like Daddy Masterson, X Drake. The good news about this is we're getting new Navy, and it's probably going to be green because of his color shared with the future leaders we're going to be looking at. But I mean, both of his abilities are really good. Restand to Dawn, and on your opponent's turn, your navies get power. So I like it a lot.
It is interesting to see we're getting our 3rd green Navy leader. Didn't mean to cut you off, Manny. Go for it.
The way I see it is that because exactly to Nick's point, like there's not a lot of green Navy cards, and I can't even name off the top of my head a red Navy card. But like at least with the green Navy, like you could get both your leader effects turned on online right away with just Rosa Dante. Because he's a green Navy card that plays a 5 or less, and then also protects your guy. So with this leader, you kind of have like this double layer of protection because the Rosa Dante will protect all your 5 and lesses, but because the Rosa Dante is over 7k, you can automatically restand the 2 Dawn. So he essentially, instead of being an 8 drop, he's just a 6 drop that plays a 5 drop, but then all your navies are also just bigger and protected. So I think it's a really cool thing with that. That's just the first thing that comes to my head.
What are your thoughts, Brandon?
I don't like it. I don't think it's gonna be good. It just, in all honesty, I did look. Right now we have 9 green Navy cards, 5
vanilla.
red Navy cards. Yeah, none of. I think honestly the best one being the 8 drop Rosinante, and that's saying something. I don't like it because I feel like dual color leaders with 2 effects, I feel like there's better ones out there. Like, for example, if we get a lot of green Navy support, I just feel like Isho does better than this card, maybe.
Oh, that's wild. That's a hot take. No, bro. You're gonna tell me. You're gonna tell.
I just think with the current lineup of leaders, I don't think that a 4 life leader, 5k power, with these abilities is that good. I just don't think it's that good.
I agree with your overall sentiment. So I actually don't have. All right, so there's one thing. Obviously, we don't have the full card pool, right? This leader is obviously gonna get a bunch of good green, or who's say good, but we know they're gonna get a bunch of green Navy cards. This will be our third Green Navy leader. On the topic of Green Navy, there's a video I've been meaning to drop. It's all the Isho, the Green Isho support I made. I have not been able to upload it because Garen is fucking never available so that we could actually run a game to use the cards to show them in a match. Because I want to include gameplay with the cards before we drop it. But Garen's either not here or he's always working. So that hasn't happened. Hopefully I'm dropping that sometime soon. But either way, so my gripe with the leaders, I feel like it's a very strong effect. But historically, 4-life leaders are some of the worst leaders One Piece has had. Like 4-life leaders have it so much harder than 5-life leaders in actually breaking into the meta.
Absolutely.
That 1-life deficit has mattered so much. In the last podcast video we did, I mentioned how like every 4-life leader, barring Dofi, has played some card that has either the leader itself or a card it has played, either has been banned or been ban worthy. You know, starting with Red Green Law, Nami and Dadan eventually got limited at some point. Our next 4-life leader was what was it, Green Purple Dofi. Nothing in there was crazy. The leader got power crept out the game though eventually. Our next 4-life leader was Red Purple Law, who got banned. Then our next 4-life leader I made in the meta was Sakazuki, who got banned. And now Raigo is banned. I mean, not Raigo. God, fuck, I want Raigo to be hit, but Reject got banned. Yeah. And then I think our only other next 4-life leader to do anything was Reiju, which only happened as the result of a ban list killing other leaders, and then it was for a very specific like 3 to 4 week window of time for Nats, and then that window disappeared. But now even if she is to remain meta, she's running Black Maria, which is a card a lot of people want to be banned. There has never been a 4-life leader outside of Dofi that has either not themselves been ban worthy or ran cards that are ban worthy. And that's just because it just goes to show like not having that 5th life is massive. It's one less card you get to pick up with. And it's also one less buffer you have before you have to either start dropping cards from your hand to either counter or to keep your board alive. So you either your hand shrinks faster than other leaders, usually an entire turn faster, which is just too much in One Piece because games aren't that long. You know, our timer's what, 35 minutes? You're a 4-life leader. You're either losing your board quickly or you're losing your hand quickly. If you lose your hand quickly, people start mathing out lethal on you faster. If you keep a hand, then you're losing your board. It's very unfortunate. One way I do also look at this leader's ability is so basically like you can say you have a 5,000 power character on board, you can put 2 Dawn on them, right? Now there's 7,000 that turns on your leader ability. So you restand 2 Dawn. This leader ability basically reads to me as a better Monkey D Dragon.
I read this as a better Green Purple Dolphy.
Really? I think a leader we have coming up is our better Green Purple Dofi. This leader
I think Dofi's.
I mean, this one restands the Dawn, so you get them during your turn instead of only on your opponent's turn, so I can kind of get it.
Yeah, but Dofi also does it like since turn 1. My thing is, like, if you look at the math, so especially what you were saying, 4-life leader, right? So you have in a game that usually lasts what, 6-7 turns each, I'd say. You are drawing 1 less card than your opponent because you have 4 life, so you're drawing, what is that, like 16-17% less cards if you look at it that way. Right. 1 less card is huge when you look at it that percent-wise, because realistically, you think 6 or 7 turns, 5 cards starting in hand, that's 12 cards plus life. That's only 16 cards in your deck that, if you don't have any draw power, stuff like that, that you'll realistically see. Doesn't seem like a lot of cards. Now you have 1 less, and you have like 16% less life, because now you have 5, technically 20%, but 1 extra hit. So it's huge to have your leader being 4 life, especially with how like thick the color pools are now. It has to be really worth it. Like the leader ability alone, not just the card pools anymore, because every card pool has solid cards in it that you don't necessarily need 2 color pools to kind of fill in those gaps. So now your leader ability alone has to make up for that less percent on your life and your draw power. And to me, this just is not it.
Yeah,
I never thought of it that way. Like you, I mean, Brandon, like, you do bring up a really good point on the fact that it's like, now that we have, like, because One Piece isn't a set of rotation, so far we have full access to our card catalog to unless it's leader locked, we have everything of the color, and every color has gotten to a point where every color has a spot removal. Whether it's good or not, it begs to differ. But every color has a spot removal. It has something that it didn't have before. So for me to lose the life for the extra color, I need to have an effect that balances out. I never thought of it that way. You're right.
Yeah, and I meant 16% less life, not draw power. It's like 6% less draw, but still, 1 draw in 12 cards is fucking insane.
Well, it's also because it's like when you are a 5 life leader, you can usually afford to just take the first 2 to 3 hits. That's usually an entire extra 2 turns before you even have to begin to counter. So you're between the 2 to 3 cards you pick up out of life, and then the 2 to 3 cards you're gonna draw for turn. Also, your hand's usually 5 life leaders. Usually their hand's twice as big as a 4 life leader, and that's why. Especially too, like, because I look at this one, like, I picture them as a dragon, because sure, you restand the 2 Dawn, so you can keep it open for counter events, but counter events historically in One Piece have been bad since OPO3, which is why I picture you're probably attaching that 2 Dawn to swing with it instead. And if that is the case, that means that you are prioritizing turning your body sideways, and if you're turning your body sideways, that now means that you have to counter to keep those bodies alive or give up the board for it. So... And not to mention, also just historically in One Piece, red-green has not been a great color combination. It took like a law, cheating, an additional 3 Dawn every single turn. This leader's cheating too. Again, the one thing, the wild card that no one can predict at this point is the Green Navy, whether or not Green Navy makes this leader worth it. But based off of what we are seeing currently, and based off of like the chip that 4 life leaders carry on their shoulder, I don't have, because literally to me this leader just basically reads as. It's just basically dragon, because it's not much more different. Like if you had two 5,000 power characters and you attached 2 Dawn to one, and then dragon moved it to the other character, you're just restanding 2. So the first character swung 7, you restand 2 Dawn, and then you put it on the other guy, you swing 7 again. It's basically just a more convoluted dragon with the potential to maybe do a counter event instead if those do come back into the game. Who knows? We don't know what Green Navy does.
You don't have to use it for a counter event. You can use it for in archetype searcher, blockers. If you play like your leader almost has a Cavendish like effect. I'm resetting 2 Dawn that I can use later on to like cast another character.
Yeah. That's any closing thoughts before we move on from this leader?
No.
Okay. No. All right. So, Smoker at this point has no support revealed whatsoever, so we'll be moving on to our next leader. We have Caesar Clown, red, blue, 4 life, 5,000 power, Scientist, Punk Hazard. Dawn times 2 when attacking. You may return 1 of your Punk Hazard type characters with a cost of 2 or more to the owner's hand. Kill up to 1 of your opponent's characters with 4,000 power or less. Take it away.
That's
Go ahead, Nick.
Who led discussion on the last leader? I don't remember. Was it Manny or was it Brandon?
Brandon started with it, and then I think I jumped in, and then this doesn't particularly matter, but
well, go for it.
Well, just me, it's kind of back to the Smoker thing. Like, at least with the Smoker leader, we could at least see that 8-drop Rosadante is like a reasonable play. There's nothing Punk Hazard worthy that we have that's worth. Like, we have a couple vanillas, we have the Caesar Smiley cards.
Wait, I don't mean to interject, but I just realized with the previous leader we never even discussed the other ability, all your characters gaining 1,000 power, which makes it easier for him to counter out of stuff with those.
It's all your Navy. You don't have any Navy cards to talk about.
Yeah, we don't have any Navy to talk
about.
But
it's only on your opponent's turn too.
Well, no, but I'm saying because one of the main takeaways against 4 life leaders is the fact that, you know, they dump their hand faster because they have to protect board, but this leader looks like they are taking that into consideration because they are making your characters bigger so that they're harder to remove from the board and so that you have to spend less counter to keep them alive. So maybe there is an argument for that, you know.
Yeah, we just go face then.
Yeah. Either way, I don't know. I just find I don't think we could talk about the leader with 2 abilities and not talk about one of their abilities. I think that is
true.
Very fair.
Okay. All right.
I don't think it saves the leader, but it is a nice little passive.
Yeah, it's we'll have to see. But anyway, as you were saying with Caesar Manny.
But back to the Smoker thing is that, like, we just don't have enough. I arguably think we have less cards to even think of an idea with Caesar than
We have 5
Smoker.
cards.
We literally have 5 cards, and what
Yeah.
4 of them are vanillas. No, 3 of them are vanillas, and the other one is Caesar
Clown
that
and
cheats out the
Smiley.
Smiley.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then the Caesar wants to be KO'd, so you don't want to bounce it. The only thing, I guess the only thing you could arguably say is I bounce the Smiley, but no, I'd rather just keep the Smiley. My opponent has to kill
If you
it.
bounce a card back to your hand, your Smiley gets bigger.
You guys are forgetting the best play of the deck. Monet has Trigger play this card. She's a 2-drop 3K, so you Trigger play her, then you do Caesar, put her.
But we
back
haven't gotten
in
there
hand.
yet. We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, no, I'm talking about the Monet that's already out, the blue one.
Yeah.
Boom.
Oh,
2-drop
she?
3K, Trigger play this card. I don't think it's ever seen play in a single deck.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that Monet existed. I
Me
know
neither.
it's Monet.
What I mean that obviously I know it hasn't seen play in any actual deck. I mean, like, I don't think anyone, like, even putting together a deck from scraps, like some 8-year-old ever decided to put this card in their deck. Like, it's
Yeah. Like the effect is alright, but like I feel like I know I'm gonna have to play red cards at minus, and maybe there's Punk Hazard cards that end up minusing, but like that's what's it's gonna be, is that like we minus to then KO. I think 4K is a cool amount, but I feel like we're just doing Dolphy stuff, whereas like I'm doing a 7K, blue Dolphy stuff, where I'm doing a 7K swing to bounce something to pop something, and
It is
then
funny.
so like unless we get like a Punk Hazard Otama, then that would be dope. Then it's like, oh, drop the Punk Hazard Otama, swing, pop, bounce the Punk Hazard Otama back to my hand, and now I have this infinite pop engine. That will be dope.
Yeah, I was gonna say, me and Garen were talking about this card earlier, and I mean, yeah, we talked about this leader earlier, and I was saying, because I feel like this leader is very, very mid, but based off of what we do currently know, and like the only way I could see this leader not being mid was if they gave him like his own like Koala 2K. You guys remember what the Koala 2K does?
Yeah.
yeah. You
They all
use
play
her when your
-3,
opponent
right?
attacks.
Yes,
You
it's a-
discard her from your hand and you get 2,000.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's the 2-cost Gordon. Like if Caesar gets a 2-cost Gordon that he can keep bouncing, then I think maybe there's something there. Otherwise, I feel like he's probably not too great, because I feel like with his leader ability costing 2 Dawn to be good, you do get still get a 7K swing out of it, but that is still 2 Dawn you have to allocate with it, so that's 2 Dawn you have less you have to play characters on your board. And then if you also have to commit Dawn to playing characters that lower things into this range,
So you're spending 4 Dawn a turn to use his effect.
yeah, you're
essentially.
basically looking at exactly, that's 4 Dawn. So how much, at what point do you either actually get to use your leader ability or actually be able to start establishing characters on the board?
That's my
And remember, like
problem
we talked
with
about One Piece, the games aren't all that long, so
Yeah.
like entire turns of not really doing much of anything is it's kind of big.
I do think this is one of the rare decks where you opt to go first with this one, because what you could do is that when your opponent play, like, so you go first, you get 1 Dawn, whatever, pass. Your opponent uses their 2 Dawn, they either play a Searcher or a 2-drop, like whatever. There's no 2-drop that survives you doing like your 8K swing.
Yeah.
Or actually, wait, no, never mind. You can't even do it because you still need to
Yeah,
bounce
you'd want to
something.
go second.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
Yeah.
my
it's getting
problem
worse the
with
more I
leader-
think about it.
My problem with the leader, I'm not a fan of leaders that require a Dawn commitment, especially a hefty one. 2 Dawn
Yeah.
is a hefty Dawn requirement. They could come out with some shenanigans, like make a 2-drop Searcher that you then get to bump back to your hand, but is it worth it at that point, right? Right now we have 0 cards to go off of it, so I can't give it an honest rating.
No, we
but
have
just
1
on
card.
paper. Oh yeah, 1 card. On paper, I don't think it's good in the slightest. For the Dawn commitment that it takes, just those leaders have never been great.
Well, that's not true because Dolphy is gonna be best deck. So
Which Dolphy? Which
Blue
Dawn?
Dolphy.
the blue one.
Oh well, but that's a Dawn commitment that you positive Dawn, like you get that Dawn back in the form of a body. So that's
Yeah.
yes, it's a Dawn commitment, but like
It's cheating Dawn at the end of the day.
you're seeing immediate return since turn 2 on it. This one you have to establish a body, do the ability. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
cheating Dawn with Dofi, and cheating Dawn's always
Yeah.
great, and cheating
Always.
just mana in general is always great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
cheating
did you-
is always.
What were your thoughts on this leader, Nick?
So yeah, it's the Dawn investment is too high. We don't know any of his cards to reduce power. I was gonna say I think it's funny that we get a red blue leader that does stuff based on power like red purple law was, but
Yeah.
they learned not to give it bottom decker bounce this time.
Yeah.
So it has potential to be good just based on its support, but we just genuinely don't know enough yet.
I will
Yeah.
say this: I did kind of skip forward to the Monet. We're gonna be eating our words in a second.
Okay. All right. Well,
don't think
that's why we're doing it in packages or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't feel all right because I kind of let you guys all speak on the leader before I said anything on this one. I agree. I actually am not big on this leader at all. I feel like because I did kind of speak on my one gripe with him is the 2 Dawn. And like not being able to establish bodies and everything. One of my biggest problems with this leader though is just like giving up turns to either choose between leader ability or establishing a board. I feel like as a 4-life leader, you can't be making sacrifices that big. You can't
Yep.
be having to compromise that much as a 4-life leader. 4-life leaders are supposed to be overtuned. 4-life leaders are supposed to be overtuned to be able to compete and keep up with 5-life leaders. This leader is very, very fair. I know in the past there's a point where I said I would like a red leader that could pop 3k. So now we have a 4k popping leader. You'd think I'd be all for it, but yeah, I think like if it was just like Dawn 2 times and it just popped, I wouldn't be so against it. I do hate though the fact that you do have to like bounce. You do have to bounce a character because basically like if you're ever playing against a removal heavy character or anything like that, and they're removing your little bodies, and you keep having to spend Dawn to put them on board to even make use of this leader ability because bouncing that as part of the cost. You can't even attempt this without having a character on the board. So, like you're playing against like a black deck and they're popping your little bodies every turn. You're committing at minimum 4 Dawn to this leader ability again. And then like even if you're doing this in the later game, if you're losing your leader ability, say you're at like 10 maximum Dawn, right? You're at the max 10. Any turn you use your leader ability, you have at most 6 Dawn to put a character on the board. And that's at the point where like people are playing cards like I don't know, Katakuri and Gecko Moria and Yamato and Ace.
And now you can't play a boss monster.
Yeah, you just like they're playing boss monsters and you're playing 6 cost characters. Like,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, unless they give him like, I don't know, like.
Let's just get to the next card. Let's just get to the next card.
All right, I will say that if they give him a boss monster, I think it would have to be something relatively cheaper, like maybe a 6 cost character that like minus a 6,000 power on play or something. But we'll go ahead and move on to our one Punk Hazard card that has been revealed so far. We have Monet, red character, 2 cost, 3,000 power, Punk Hazard, Donquixote Pirates, counter 1,000. Activate main. You may rest this character, give up the 2 rested Dawn cards to your to your leader or one of your characters, then give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 1,000 power during this turn. All right, well, this is kind of like exactly what I felt like.
Yeah. That's like when I took it ahead, I was like,
good.
say your piece.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's still one of those where now I'm on my 4 Dawn turn because I played this on 2 Dawn. Yes, I can kill your 3 cost character that you played, but also like I still don't do anything that turn then.
Yeah, because this is minus 1,000, so this is still 4 Dawn commitment. You're popping a 5,000 power.
No, it's not a 4 Dawn commitment. It's a 2 Dawn. It's only 2.
Oh, right. She does move the Dawn. That is correct. You're right. I forgot she
It's
moves
only
2 Dawn.
2.
She
And
moves
then
2
just
Dawn.
playing her again. That's
No, but you don't have to play her again.
I mean, you have to bounce a character though, so either you're bouncing.
You bounce her back. You bounce her back. So
and then you play her again.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, you're only investing the 2, but you don't have to play her again that turn. You can wait till next turn because you don't want to lose her. So you just bounce her back to your hand, and then this is the way I see it. For 2 Dawn, you're always telling your opponent, "I'm going to hit you for 7, and I'm killing your 5Ks or less all the time, no matter what."
So
you.
My problem with the reason I think like this is obviously a great card for I guess what Caesar's trying to do, but my gripe with the card still is that basically all this card translates to is is minus 1,000 to a character on board, because like essentially like the 2 Don you spent on her, basically it's the same as attaching 2 Don to your leader and minusing something by 1,000 because she just goes right back to your hand. So like I think that it's still not enough for a 4-life leader. So basically my biggest gripe here is I feel like the minus 1,000 is not enough. It's why I said something like a koala. Like I think you need stuff like Otama's and Gordon's and stuff like that. It's unfortunate with like stuff like Otama and Gordon though, because like he can play those cards to minus, but he can't put them back in the hand. So like basically what it does is it takes you back to OPO2 black, where you are taking a card out of your hand to pop a character on the board. You're going even, and even back then that was very mid. But black was lowering cost, so they were even able to pop bigger characters to begin with. This is basically just swing 7 and go 1-for-1 to pop a small character on the board.
I mean, technically you're getting this back in your hand, so you're not going 1-for-1, you're going 4-for-1.
Specifically in regard to Monet, she only minuses by 1,000, and I just don't think that's enough. I think you need stuff like Otama, and you need to be lowering 2,000 or 3,000, I think, to make it worth it. And all the cards that do that so far are 1 cost. So if they don't give him his own versions of those, then he does have to play cards like Otama and Gordon. And if that is the case, he can't bounce them back. So that's where the 1-for-1 comes from.
I think it's good. Like, this is definitely like for the first card, it definitely puts the leader a little bit up for me, like than just, oh, this leader's going to be trash. But I still think that seeing this, if this is a game, the route that they're going to go, it's going to be one of those decks like where your opening hand decides the entire game for you, but also like what your opponent plays, because your opponent could just go 4 Don Borsalino and you're like, cool, I can't do anything.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, like, the way I see it is that I understand your point where the 1,000 isn't, like, maybe enough, but I think it's the fact that, like, this card does pay for itself.
Right.
And still minuses. So, like, at the end of the day, it's like, this card fulfills everything while then you hit higher targets for free. And then also, for the case of, like, cards like Borsalino, if you did this, like, let's say you still pay 2 to do this, you still are doing your 7k swing, even though you're not popping the Borsalino. You made the Borsalino a 5k.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
And at that point, it's like, okay, I didn't kill him, but it doesn't matter, because if you choose to block with him, you're not gonna block and counter out of him. You're just gonna lose him anyways.
Yeah, you wouldn't block with him to begin with, since he'd be 5,000. Your leader's already 5,000. So
I do like that she puts the counter back, or he puts the counter back in your hand for the creature, the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not saying he's busted now, but I do think this card does how we were trying being like, well, the problem is that he's spending too much Dawn to do his effect. He's actually just putting 2 on,
and he is attaching 2 with Monet. But yeah, for me, basically, it's going to come back to, if he doesn't get Otamas or Gordons, if he's playing around with stuff where it's minus 1,000, I don't think being a 4-life leader, popping a 5,000 power character is going to cut it.
Well, this is the way I see it. Another thing that could be done is that because she's activate main and not on play, there are scenarios where you could prematurely play her. So on your 10 Dawn turn, because we were talking about it, where you have to hold yourself off of big bodies, you could still be like, okay, cool. I'm gonna play my big body, and I still have her on board to then do my stuff. The other thing is that because we're getting Shanks, that just minuses everything anyways. So because she just activate main, you could do her. You could play Shanks, then do her to put the 2 on, and then now because Shanks minus everything by 1,000, and then she's gonna minus something else by that, and then so now Caesar is swinging for 7k, has a Shanks on the board, and it's gonna pop a 6k or less.
Brother, I don't think Caesar's making it to put in a Shanks.
Yeah, remember,
on the
you're
board.
a 4-life leader, and if you just played Shanks, leader. I have a lot higher than a 6k on board.
I feel like if you're gonna be a red-blue leader and you're leaning into popping, you're leaning into KO and KO based on power, when you are literally half the color pool that has the best removal in the game, I feel like you're just doing something wrong there. I feel like that's probably not. I'm
just throwing ideas. Yeah.
Well, see, I hope that this leader ends up making waves. Like, again, you're gonna have people that watch this, and then like 5 months later, when the leader does something, they're gonna comment like, "You guys don't know shit. All right,
You guys
bro."
know nothing. It's like, oh, we only knew of the leader and the Monet. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, but you guys didn't think about the third support card. Well, we
No, I
didn't know
think-
it.
Yeah,
It's
right.
your
The worst
fault.
part. No, I think the worst part about that is usually there's a lot of the times when people do stuff like that too, we are right. We're actually right, and it's the first month of the set.
Yeah.
And people will be like, "Oh yeah, remember how you said Calgara's mid? What about now?" And it's like after the first month of the set, it's like, all right, well, he's competing, but he's still
Iceberg
a
got a
mid
top, and
Yeah.
where has he been?
Yeah,
I don't
literally,
know.
it's the first month while things, or it's also kind of like with the new like Blackbeard leader, for example.
I love him.
You know, while he is, because people act like, because I've always said at the end of the day, he's like a anti-meta leader. He's basically anti-meta. So he's not great. He's not good. He's not bad. He's always going to be relying on the meta and stuff like that. So he'll rear his head at times, and he'll disappear other times. And people, I remember like literally the first 2 weeks, because Blackbeard was like one of the top 3 performing leaders. People were like, "What was that, Chris? I thought you said Blackbeard wasn't going to be one of the best leaders in the set." And then after a month has passed, Blackbeard's not even the top 7 anymore. It's like, okay, well, what about now, viewers? What about you had
What about
so
now?
much energy for me when Blackbeard was doing it, but now that he's disappeared again, there's nowhere to be found. It's the same with like Robin. There's like a lot of times where just like we will accurately predict how these leaders are going to play out, but just because we're in the first month of the set is the meta's been unexplored. People are still learning the matchups. People are still trying to figure out what's worth what. And it just hasn't been figured out. The format's not solved yet. And people are also, there's like new toy syndrome. Like people are like, oh, this is new toy, I want to play with it and all that. But then after the dust is settled, the leaders fall off just like we predicted they would.
Bro, I wanted to play Buggy so bad. I played 2 games with it, and I'm like, I never want to play this fucking leader.
Yeah. there's just, if Caesar does something, it will not surprise me if Caesar does something in the first month and people like you're wrong. And then after that first month, we don't see Caesar ever again. It just would not surprise me.
Would not surprise me.
All right, so
Nick, oh wait, we didn't hear Nick's thoughts.
Oh,
on it, I
Nick,
don't
your
think.
thoughts?
No, you're fine. I was gonna say it's the same thing. I can't add more to a leader and a card.
Right.
True.
Fair.
Okay, so moving
go
on
Sugar.
to our next leader, we have Sugar, red purple, 4 life, 5,000 power, Donquixote. End of your turn, if you have a character with the Donquixote Pirates type with a power of 6,000 power or more, set up to one of your Don is active. Opponent's turn, once per turn, when you activate an event, set up to one of your Don from your Don deck as active. I like this leader a lot.
Really?
I like this leader a lot. I don't know how well I expect her to do, but I do like the design theory behind her a lot.
Walk me through it because
It's a
I
red
don't.
purple leader with ramp, brother.
So it is a red purple. So yeah, it is a red purple leader with ramp. So one, like just tackling her first ability, end of your turn, if you have a character with Donquixote Pirates type with 6,000 power or more, set up one of your Don is active.
Oh, okay. I misread the second effect. I understand now.
Okay, all right. Yes.
I understood it for a second as during my turn, at the end of the turn, if I have 6,000 power, I activate one. During my opponent's turn, if I activate a fan, I restand another Dawn. I was like, that's dumb. Okay, I understand. You're right. I misread it.
So again, this is one of those leaders. I feel like on paper she's very good. I feel like though I feel like my one gripe with her is going to be because it's so hard to critique a leader that looks good when they are 4 life. Because time and time again, 4 life leaders, the effects are great. The effects are good, but they're not good enough to warrant giving up a 5th life for it. So this first like effect, I'm a very big fan of. I like that she does restand 1 at the end of the turn. You know, like if you keep just 1 open, she reopens the second, so you can afford to run cards like Hell's Judgment, because you only need to keep 1 open. Now you have 2 Dawn open for a card like Hell's Judgment, and then also the Hell's Judgment, the 1 Dawn that it would minus because you activated an event on your opponent's turn, you refund that Dawn back basically. So she pretty much makes it so you're never gonna fall off curve, and in some scenarios, depending on the event you're playing, you even stay on curve, but you ramp an extra Dawn. And also, like, she lets you put 1 Dawn like a 5,000 power character, get a swing out of it, and then just restand the 1 Dawn you would have kept open, that 1 Dawn to still get the event off. I also do love that this is a 4-life leader with built-in ramp that doesn't cost you anything whatsoever. There's just no cost to it. You just have to like play an event. So you're resolving some kind of effect and you're just getting a bonus for it. You're being rewarded for it. And then it puts you ahead on your curve. Like, one of the strongest things about Purple Luffy is the fact that on his second turn, he can already start doing things like playing a 5-cost character. Sugar can potentially do that also. Like, if you take second and your opponent, like, so you're on 2 Dawn, you have Dawn open, and your opponent swings at you on their 3 Dawn turn, you activate an event. You are now on 5 Dawn on your turn. You can start doing things that like Luffy was doing, like for example, I don't think this would be the play, but like, you know, like a Magellan, for example. You can Magellan on your second turn. You can do stuff like that.
Yep.
And not to mention, like, Luffy's taking a life to do it. He's gaining a card, which is good. But like, Sugar's also ramping, but for benefit. You are getting something out of it. You're activating some kind of event. And I also do like the fact that this leader can run cards like Blast Breath to no detriment to herself whatsoever. It's not going to pour her off curve. There is no consequence. And not only does it not pour her off curve, it opens it on for a second Blast Breath.
Yep.
I was about to say also Hell's Judgment is refunded as well.
There said that.
I will say though.
Judgment, my bad.
Yeah, notice what I was talking about, keeping the 2 Dawn open. You keep one open, then she opens the second, you play the Hell's Judgment, you minus the Dawn, you refund it back.
But my thing is, we already have a leader that benefits off of that, which is Purple Yellow Crocodile, and
he's ass.
The minusing the Dawn and opening it up for another one, like, even in that deck, you don't play Hell's Judgment, you don't play Blast Breath, because it's just not that, like, in theory it sounds fucking
No, this is very different than that. This is incredibly different. One, this is ramping. This is ramping. That is huge. So that is one thing. You're
but
ramping.
It's not.
Yes, how's that not?
It doesn't off of like the Hell's Judgment and stuff.
Right.
It refunds the Hell Judgment, but for all of the other events that the deck's gonna play, like the Dofi searching events.
Well, no, that's my other thing. I'm not saying the leader in general. I'm saying Hell's Judgment and Blast Breath specifically.
Those are just refunding.
Well, of course. But go for it, Nick.
No, those specifically are just refunding.
Right,
so, like,
those are just
any of the other, like Radical Beam will ramp you a Dawn if you're gonna use it. Like any event that you're gonna use that's not minusing a Dawn is gonna ramp you. But it's also the fact that you can play these more powerful ones.
That's pretty much it. Like, you activate these effects, you ramp off of them, and you can even afford to play the more powerful counter events to no detriment. That's like the strength of her.
Actually, this deck.
Well, that was the point that I was making.
This deck can play. He's red purple, right? So she can play the Monet to put 2 Dawn on a character to make it 6,000 power at the end of your turn and refund a Dawn active.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything that moves around Dawn is going to be great in this deck.
Yeah, but that was the point that I was making. Hell's Judgment and Blast Breath, like, the refund is just not as good as it seems. The regular events ramping you is going to be insane. So really, you're going to be using the search event, and the red events are going to go hard as fuck in this. Like, for example, in that deck, you play more of the yellow events because the refund just kind of isn't even worth it.
Well, no. So one of the reasons I disagree with that is because, like, for example, with Croc, like, unless you have like a Wednesday on board, you're having to keep that 1 Dawn open. Sugar's always opening. You play your entire turn out, then Sugar gives you back the 1 Dawn. She just opens the Dawn so basically Hell's Judgment cost 1 and Blast Breath becomes free. Because you played your entire turn, you used all your Dawn, then she opened 1 for those events, and now those events also have no detriment.
But then you can just use a different event and ramp a Dawn instead.
Well, you can still use an event, ramp a Dawn, get an active Dawn, and still be able to play cards like those. Like, so basically it's 1 cost Hell's Judgment, it is free Blast Breaths, and they don't pull you off of curve.
What's the life requirement to ramp off of that 1 Animal Kingdom Pirates counter event?
2 life.
Oh, Thunder Bagua, 2 life.
Ah, cringe. If it was 3, yes.
No, it's 2.
I don't think that she'll play the purple minus events, but I do think I do like this leader. I love events. I just think that they've never been done right besides Purple Green Dofi, which had its run for 1 set and then disappeared into existence. I don't know if this leader will be it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Because again, 4-life leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like that's it.
That's literally it.
You until you hit 6,000 power, which granted that's on like turn 4 Dawn. So turn 1 and 2 or 1 through 3 Dawn, you're realistically doing nothing because you want to play an event. to ramp. I don't know. I think this leader has potential, but I still don't
Yes.
think that it's gonna be great.
I think either this leader will be very mid, or I think this leader will crack into the meta. It's gonna, because again, if she is a 4-life leader, which is the one that makes it hard, like you look back at OP08 being revealed and us seeing, I remember, so when the set first came out, it was people believed that Marco was the new Sakazuki. I remember I believed King was the new Sakazuki.
King
People
was gonna
thought
be
Pudding
bad.
was going to be broken, and people even thought that with the power level of those 3 leaders that Sakazuki could come off the ban list. And those are all leaders that we thought had very good effects, which they all do. However, the problem is that those effects are not good enough to justify being a 4-life leader. So it's like, why I like Sugar's effect a lot. I'm not saying it's not good enough to warrant being a 4-life leader. There's just no way to know. But if she ends up not being meta, it could make sense, because if these effects that I'm a fan of are not good enough to justify giving up the 5th life, then it will make sense. I'm just hoping maybe that she potentially could be, because she is doing one thing that we have never seen done before. Like there's all the event stuff or whatever, but this is our first 4-life leader that ramps Dawn for free. So she will be a 4-life leader. She'll also be ramping. Actually, that's not true, Pudding.
This is the way I see it, though. So because Pudding does something different for the ramp. So the thing is that when Pudding ramps, because if I remember correctly, Pudding, you have to flip your life up to reveal what it is. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, technically it's free, but one, it's limited to realistically is limited to how much you could do it. And yeah, you can play the viola to put him back down, but once we get to a point of the game, you're either you're winning because you dropped all these big bombs, so your life doesn't matter anymore and ramping doesn't matter anymore, or 2, you don't have enough life to ramp anymore anyways, so it doesn't matter.
Well, realistically, in the grand scheme of things, go for it.
This, you do have the potential to ramp throughout the whole game. This gives you the Dawn to be able to have the Dawn to be able to ramp, to be able to play the events to then ramp. And I think what it is kind of to your point about like Purple Luffy, whereas that Purple Luffy realistically was a 4-life leader because you were always eating 1. And yeah, you got the 1 card advantage for the ramp, but technically he's at least a 4-life leader. This is saying I'm going to keep ramping, and the issue that we had before was 4-life leaders were bad defensively because you're giving up the life. Because this leader encourages you to be on the defensive side of things so you could ramp, you're getting to your higher Dawn plateau faster while still defending yourself.
Yeah, that's what I because like she is a 4-life leader. She is a 4-life leader, but she is ramping, so she is playing the game ahead at least a turn. She's playing at least a turn sooner than she should be, which is something that could potentially offset the fact that she has 1 less life to work with, and also the fact that she's not going to be squishy because she is going to be able to get out of these attacks while progressing her game. So it's why, like, I think this leader has a lot of potential. If this leader does crack into the meta, it wouldn't surprise me. If the leader doesn't make it into the meta, though, I'll understand why. You know, the 4-life just wasn't. The 4-life was just too much. So I don't know. This is. I'm a very, very big fan of this leader. I like the design behind it a lot. It's just whether or not this is going to be enough.
I'm a fan.
Anything before we? Oh wait. So now, all right, we have. Well, you talked about the leader, but she also has, I think, 2 cards revealed alongside her.
Yeah, she has 2 cards.
Yeah.
In addition to the Monet that we've already talked about. So she has Senor Pink. 5 cost, 6,000 power, so this already turns on her leader ability. Donquixote Pirates on play, Dawn -1. You may return. Okay. Dawn -1. Add up to 1 purple event card with a cost of 5 or less from your trash to your hand, then set up to when your Dawn cards is active. I like that.
Oh my god, this card is so good.
That is really good.
Oh my god.
That is really good.
I didn't read this card. But oh my god, this card is really good.
It turns on her leader ability.
Back.
Yes. Turns on her leader ability, and then it gives her the counter event for her leader ability. It does Dawn -1 to do it, but then I guess you activate that Dawn, you put yourself back on curve anyway. And you have a 6,000 power body, and you're gonna resolve some kind of effect off of that event you just added back to your hand.
So you know how we were talking about before, how you may have to leave one Dawn open, but then you'll get the second one from her?
Yes.
You can play out your turn with him.
Yes.
He'll give you the one, she'll give you the other, so now you have 2 Dawn for your 2 Dawn events, but you still played out your turn.
Yeah. Yeah, now it is worth noting he doesn't have counter. But yeah, I do like this card. I like this card a lot.
But you could definitely drop him on curve fast, like especially if you go first. You're like, okay. Well, no, not first. You on second. My bad. But even on your second turn, you drop him, because as long as you get a counter event like the search one that we'll talk about next, because I didn't even read this in your pink, but like you can literally search him, and on turn 2 you drop him, and you're already online.
Yeah, dropping a 6k character immediately. And then, because he picked up an event, so basically, so you went second, your opponent swung. Though there's one thing,
you played an event to get there.
Counterplay. Kind of like with Bonnie, our opponent doesn't allow counterplay. If they don't want to deal with certain bodies, they can just deny you a swing. But that is also you being a 4-life leader, taking no attacks that turn. So that is still, there's still some value to that. But if your opponent like does swing on 3 Dawn, you put yourself on 5, you play this, you picked up the event that you used to put yourself on 5, you're doing it again, you have 2 Dawn open, that's 6, and then when it comes back to your turn, you're already doing 8 cost characters on the 4th turn of the game. You're an entire turn of Dawn ahead at that point.
Yep.
That is really, really big. That is really big.
Also, this deck is probably going to be playing cards like the little pudding that can refund Dawn, so you put that on board early. If you're playing this deck on curve, it's insane, because you can have that pudding on board. Next turn, you can play this. You refund the Dawn, then on your opponent's turn, you
wait, how much
Dawn.
is that pudding?
I can't remember whether she's 2 or 3.
She's a 3. She's a 3/4.
Wait, if you place in your pink though, he minuses a Dawn, so then when leader pluses a Dawn, you still go to 7 next turn, not 8.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, the pudding will refund the Dawn.
Yeah, but you can't play the pudding and then ramp.
So
what pudding?
There's no way to work the pudding in there.
Drop.
There's no way to work the pudding in there. Because if you're playing a pudding, that means you're not on 5 Dawn on your 4 Dawn turn, your second turn.
What I like about this is that you get the event back. Like technically, you just net neutral Dawn with this. It doesn't ramp you. It doesn't. Technically, it cuts you under, but getting the event back, you're gonna get that Dawn back.
There is 2 different ways to look at it too. She may not even be wanting to ramp up to big bodies. She may just be wanting to keep herself on curve. You know, there is also that.
Yeah.
We have had 4-life leaders that play around with the Dawn differently, kind of like Reiju, for example, who even wants it to be low. So.
Well, you could just play him.
Getting that hand advantage is huge.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the other thing you could do is literally just like I do agree. I think using his effects better. But let's say you're in a scenario, you could just ramp. On you're at 2 Dawn. Use the event. You're at 5. Play him. Don't use his effect, because let's say you have another one in hand. You're still gonna restand a Dawn at the end of your turn because of leader effect.
Yep.
And then ramp again, which will then get you to 8.
That is also true. You're right.
So there are scenarios where it's like I will forego his effect so I could do an 8 drop next turn.
Actually, no. Because I don't think you wouldn't get that, because it's all part of the same effect. It's broken up into 2 like different sentences, but it is one effect. So I think if you don't do that Dawn minus, you're not getting
No, because remember, she restands if you have a 6k or higher.
Oh, off her effect. That's right. Okay, I thought you meant off his effect. Gotcha.
No, off
Gotcha.
her. So you would still get 1. And for example, like a little bit of foreshadowing, she has a 1-drop event that searches. So let's say you had 2 of those, you drop him just so you restand. Like, because let's imagine they have an 8 drop.
Yes.
You're like, I want to drop the 8 drop next turn.
Yes.
You forego his effect, just restand the 1 off the leader, and then use the 1-drop event. Now you're at 6, then your turn 8.
Yeah, there is the potential.
So on turn 3, you're dropping an 8 drop.
Yes. Yeah, there is the potential just on your 3rd turn of the game, already having a 6,000 power character and playing an 8 cost character as well. I like that.
No, it's good.
Yeah. No, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Our next card, I guess because Manny's referenced it a lot, means just get it out of the way. I can never forgive anyone who laughs at my family. Purple event, Donquixote, main counter. Look at 3 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Donquixote Pirates type character other than I can never forgive anyone who laughs at my family and add it to your hand. Place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. So it's just a searcher, but you can use it on either turn to trigger putting so effects like manual.
What's funny about this is now green purple Dofi has 2 counter searcher events.
Actually, 3.
3?
Yeah, so there's the original green one.
Yeah.
There's what is it? Off-white as the green counter event.
Yeah.
EDO one.
Oh right, I forgot about off-white.
Wait, what the fuck is off?
It's just
It's
2
a
Don game
4K
4K
one?
and then search top 3.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny. So you had 3. Jeez.
Yeah, but those are green.
Although Dofi doesn't even like using it as
Yeah.
I was about to say, to be fair, he probably wouldn't play the 1-cost green one since it does no power or nothing. He'd
Yeah.
probably play this one since you can do it on main.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
yeah. God,
Solid. It goes with her deck perfectly. So pretty solid. I still think that you'd rather ramp with a, because if you're using an event as a counter, you're being attacked. So it's probably better to play something that's going to give you power. We'll kind of see. I mean, this can't really go wrong with this, especially with her ability. So I think it's alright.
I think also Gradical Beams become very strong in this deck because even when you're not at 4 life, you're just losing. They basically just become 2Ks that ramp you. So
Yeah.
I also don't like top 3 searchers.
Well, this is the way I see this card.
So it's
So
top 3 and you ramp it on.
yeah, because the way I see it, it's you play it to search out like a 2K or a 1K, preferably a 2K. Then like you counter with the card that you searched, but you ramped.
yeah, because in One Piece also the equivalent. So 1 Dawn worth of value like printed on a card. Every card that ramps 1 Dawn on an event in One Piece cost 3 if there's no other condition to it. So this is basically instead of paying 3 to ramp 1 Dawn, you pay 1 to ramp 1 Dawn, and you might even break even off of it if you find another card off top 3.
Yeah.
That's kind of big.
Right. So my thing is the reason that I don't like top 3 searchers, just for perspective, I've been playing a lot of Blackbeard. I run 12 cards in the deck that are not Blackbeard Pirates, and I do run the stage. If I use that stage at any point, discard a card, which at this point, if you look at this card, it's basically discarding this event. That I can never forgive anyone who laughs at my family.
Right.
For no counter, nothing like that. And out of those 12 cards, if I hit 3 of them and I don't get a Blackbeard Pirate, it's huge. Because again, we're talking about, you see 16 cards a game on average, right? Like 16, 17 cards. Not seeing that one, I just discarded a card for fucking nothing. And this could have that potential if you don't run pretty much like a full...
Yeah, but the difference is though...
That's why I brought up the point of basically there are already ramp 1 Dawn events in the game. So this is basically one of those events that cost a third as much as it's supposed to, with the pyro potential to break even if you do happen to hit a card. If you don't hit a card though, you basically just ramped 1 Dawn for 1. You paid 1 for 1.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
I think you're viewing it more as a searcher card, which I think the real meat and potatoes is the ramp, and the search is like the icing, you know?
Yeah, this is
right.
But
not hitting off of it would be very detrimental.
Is it going to suck?
It is, absolutely.
No, I'm going to. I do agree. I do agree because cards that only search 3 deep do have the potential to whiff a lot. I run brand new in Gecko Moria, for example. I do know what it's like to just -1 for nothing. But that's why I do say it. I think the fact that you do still Rampadon out of it, at least you get some value. Basically, you're treating the event as pay 1 to ramp 1. I do think that alone is still a good event. I think if a deck could run that, a deck probably still would run that. Considering 1 Dawn is worth ramping 1 Dawn is worth 3 Dawn. So there is that at the very least. And not to mention, she does also have cards, for example, like if you do minus, say you do play this card and you do whiff, you've still ramped the 1 Dawn, and then you can still play a card like Senor Pink, I guess, a turn early, and then pick the card back up. You go neutral and you have the body. So there is that.
So the reason, Manny, that I'm saying that it's super detrimental is, let's say your opponent attacks like 7, right? You play this card and you whiff off of it. Again, you're a 4 life leader, so you're already at a disadvantage value wise, like card value wise. So now you're going another card disadvantage. Now you're at a 2 card disadvantage already against your opponent's 5 life leader. And And if they swung 7, now you're either discarding 2 cards from your hand. Even if they swung 5, you're discarding another card. So now you discarded 2 cards to get out of a 5k swing, or you're going down to a 3 life leader on their first turn. That's why to play this card, you need to have at least like a 40 card, or like I'd say, honestly, I'd say a minimum of a 40 card Donquixote package, because you cannot whiff off of this or you pretty much just lose.
I think to say that you lose, to say you lose, I think that's a bit too heavy hitting. Because the thing is, you say -2, but the thing is, if it hits, I didn't minus anything.
Yeah.
I played the card, it gave me a Dawn, and then it replaced itself.
If it hits,
and then, but like
that's what I'm saying.
But there's the
if
thing,
it misses, you just lose.
So I look at this like I'm looking at like this. So
I think losing is too strong a word.
Even
like, yeah, it's bad, but I don't think it's
whiffs,
losing.
Even if it whiffs, this is I don't like. I think you can even like play this and not counter. You know, you can just use this card, kind of like how like Zero, for example, is using like Shut Up and Come With Me. Like a lot of the time, like they're just keeping the one Dawn open. Yeah, they're keeping the one Dawn open to resolve a specific kind of effect, and then after they resolve their effect, they just take the hit. You know.
You know what? You're right. You're right. Just like Chris said, like if they're playing that, this is fine.
But that's a 5 life leader, and this is a 4 life leader.
Right.
There.
So
I see like this leader is a little bit better than like red purple Uta, because Uta just discards a card and loses that card.
Yeah.
This leader, you can potentially discard a card to ramp a Dawn, but you have a higher potential of breaking even and then ramping the Dawn. So like that chance is always going to be there. Like you're saying, like there's a chance to miss off of brand new. But I don't think that's a negative for this leader, because we haven't seen all of the purple Dawn cards they can
I don't think so
more cards.
I think this leader has potential.
I think so. I place a lot of value just on ramping a Dawn for one Dawn. Like for example, I think if this wasn't a counter event, I think if this was just a 1 cost event and it said if your leader was Donquixote, ramp 1 Dawn for 1, I think she'd play that. So I think the fact that this is able to do that still and potentially break even by getting another card, I think it's just the cherry on top.
But I want you to think about that though, how this leader would be paying 1 Dawn and a card to ramp 1, while
the one's free.
Purple. Well, hear me out though. While other purple leaders ramp every turn and they kind of do it better.
You think so? I don't think so.
Absolutely.
I think the only leader that might even I think the only leader that does it better is Purple Luffy. I don't think any other leader comes close. Every other leader is either reliant on seeing a specific card in their deck to even attempt to do it, or they're going negative to do it.
Pudding absolutely does it better.
Pudding is a 4-life leader, though, that feels like a 4-life leader, and she's banking on getting the 10 moms, and like other healing cards even try to offset that. Whereas this is a leader that can actually counter out of attacks and stuff and still ramp.
Hanya Ball.
And then the thing,
ass.
Purple Kaido.
What?
Reiju. Well, Reiju.
Purple Kaido and Reiju don't have ramp built into their leader.
Yeah, they do not.
The Purple Kaido does.
Yeah, he has to KO something, then he ramps one.
Yeah, he's so bad. Stop. He's so bad.
Yeah.
Lim.
Oh, Lim's doing work in Japan right now. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lim is playing bodies. I don't know if I'd say she probably. I don't know. There is I guess Lim, but either way, I think this discussion alone goes to show that her effect as far as ramping goes, it's in the top 3 purple leaders with the ability to ramp. You know, so there is something there. Yeah, I think she's better than Lim, if I'm being honest. I think that this is outside of Purple Luffy. I think this is probably our best.
Dude, I played against a Lim and got my fucking ass.
I'm kind of sad that this leader isn't like green in some way to get the old Dofi cards.
I agree, and the reason I do agree with that is because since the searcher only searches 3 deep, she pretty much is only going to have the red and purple cards, so she's probably not going to be running enough names to be consistently getting a card off this top 3 searcher. Which is why I don't undermine Brandon's like whiffing point and going neg whatsoever. But it's why I always do counter with just you are paying 1 to ramp it on, and I think that alone is value.
I really wish he was a green-purple leader. I would play this and then just play the green Dolphy stuff with this new purple nonsense and go buck wild. Drop 10 drop Dolphys on like turn 4.
So that's the beauty, is these new Doflamingo cards are purple. You can play them in green-purple Dofi.
So there is
Yeah.
one more leader. However, this is 59 minutes right now. So I think
Yeah.
we'll have to cover Rebecca and Oliver's sport in an additional video. So
Yep.
any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Goodbye. Good
Welcome
night.
back, Brandon. You better come to
Welcome,
locals
Brandon.
from now on. You gotta.
Yeah.
We have something we have to do.
Yeah. Starting in set 9, I will be.
No, end of this
oh.
month, Kofi starter decks come out.
That's true. When those starter decks come out, I will play Queen.
We also have painted Slay the Spire figures, but
Oh, yeah.
you haven't seen them.
I need you to
painted
paint
names.
mine, speaking of.
Commissions.
When I called him earlier today, he wasn't working. He was just playing Slay the Spire with friends.
What a bitch.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess with that being said, then until next time, we will see you guys.
Bye bye.
Daddy.
Later.
Bye.
Who is it?